In the land of the rising sun, designers and engineers also now understand how to build sports cars, especially inexpensively. And these still fledgling traditions were founded by the Datsun Z and became the most produced sports car in the world. Reliable large-scale technology under the long hood and at an unbeatable price. Such is the success formula of the 1970s Slick Coupe, and even makes it one of the most successful sports cars of all time. Designed for the American market, the strategy works there too. The car sells well. In Germany, however, the Japanese sports car remains a rarity. Only about 300 cars make their way here. The Z accelerates from 0 to 100 in 9.5 seconds, and the forward movement stops at well over 200 kilometers per hour. Respectable performance for 1970. In Germany, the Japanese athlete remains almost unknown. Someone who knows it inside and out is Matthias Schumacher, the former owner of a Nissan Z representation. He has restored his Silver Z from the ground up. The master mechanic has invested over 2 years of work, and the biggest problem is the spare parts supply. In Germany, he gets very little for the Datsun. In the US, almost everything. Here, these cars had no factory undercoating and no cavity protection. I had to get the parts from the USA, front fenders and left door sill. Behind the headlight housing was heavy rust where the rear shock towers are. And these were the main places where it was heavily rusted. The engineering, like engines, axles and brakes of the 240Z, quite typically Japanese, no problems. The exception, the transmission. I also have done that 2 times, and the 5th gear was a weak point. It jumped out once, and then there was a bearing noise. Today, Schumacher has found in the restored Z a classic car for everyday use. The plus points, suitable for everyday use, reliable engineering, and good driving benefits. The negative side, the cheap-looking interior, a delicate gear, and spare parts which are difficult to get in Europe. A sports car from the old school. Something rough and tough, but sympathetic and sports car typical. Steering response direct. Drawback, although the 2-seater weighs just 1,100 kilos, a 911 Porsche is lighter. The 130 horsepower and 2.5-liter inline 6-cylinder gives the small 2-seater a top-heavy handling. You could almost take the 240Z for a modern version of the Jaguar E. The proportions seem to agree. A look inside and it quickly becomes clear that someone has tried to loosen up the Japanese sadness with sporty details such as additional instruments. Cult braking, the ventilation holes in the bucket seats and salt shake look, and the instruments in the deep caves of the dashboard. The name of the project, Sport 70. The assignment, a small sports car coupe with comfort and trunk for the new world, i.e. America. Feverishly, the Japanese designers go to work, and they get help from German designer Albrecht Goertz, who created the legendary BMW 507. The result, a timeless shape and today a classic. And in motorsport, the Datsun earned many laurels, which up until then were not in the domain of Japanese manufacturers. Its sturdiness makes it ideal as the winner in long-distance rallies. An apparently unbreakable 240Z wins the hardest rally in the world in 1971 and 73, the East African Safari. The Japanese is even successful with rallies in Kenya and Tanzania. Today, there are no more cheap Zs. Restoration objects are cheaper due to the difficulty of finding spare parts. In Germany, the 240Z is hard to find, and anyone interested in the Japanese coupe can best find one in the US or in Switzerland. Spare parts can be quite simply obtained from America.